All right, here we are talking about our hair.
Who wants to come to my backyard and chop my hair off? Normally I would do it myself.
Careful what you wish for.
And have.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Just waving at people. Waving.
Hi.
Oh, we already have one volunteer of who's going to do it. We'll have to bring him on the show.
Maybe I can do locks for love, but nobody would want my hair because it's so messed up.
You never know. Some people want a thirsty wig.
Oh, I'm going to disconnect you, bitch.
I'm kidding, girl. I'm kidding. Oh.
Can you believe the shade? Somebody.
The level of disrespect. Ladies, gents, friends.
You walked in on JP about to retract his claws, Jeff.
Meow. Citizenry. Welcome to your favorite source for for voter registration information, as well as chats with your notable nerds. This is Between Two Nerds. I am JP Karliak.
And I'm Courtenay Taylor, mortally wounded.
Hardly. Where's my shade button? I moved it. And today, I don't want to waste too much time because we have an amazing guest today. He is the best of the bestest of Looney Tunes. He is the voice of Bugs, Daffy, Tweety, Marvin. He's also the latest iteration of Splinter, not a Looney Tune, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm aware of that. And he is just the... please welcome one of our faves, Eric Bauza. Hi, buddy. It's working. Okay, can everybody hear everybody?
I can hear you guys.
Brilliant. I'm just turning up volumes here just to make sure. Okay. We banter and bicker.
I know. See it rain. He's in a mood.
No. I mean, truth. All tea, all shade. All tea, no shade. It is. It makes mama mad. Why, thank you. We do try. Yeah.
Eric's mic is slightly distorted, so maybe we need to...
Hello? Any better?
Keep talking, Eric.
I don't know why. I'm just on...
All right. Let me try. Yeah, let's do that. Let's try that.
Give it a go.
It's good.
See if that helps. Okay. We'll do that. And there we go. Okay. Oh, Oliver's here. Hi, pal.
Is that better?
How does that sound, everybody?
I think it sounds better. I don't know.
I hear you very well.
You can hear me. I can hear you, and I don't hear any traffic live at 5. Here we are over the 405 freeway. It's looking kind of jammed back there. It sounded like the helicopter feed of a traffic jam.
Okay, the audience says it's good. So, great. We're back. Where were we? How are you doing in the midst of all this madness?
I mean, it's it's tough. I'm not gonna lie. It's starting to weigh. Usually I'm in pretty good spirits. I'm a pretty unbreakable person when it comes to, the pressure of just living in LA, period.
Sure.
You know, having to survive and hunt for work as us actors do. You know, we're if you're not auditioning, then the next three people behind you are definitely ready to fill in those roles. So it's hard. And what more with a pandemic? It's so strange to you know, I've been lucky enough to book a role, having not met the producer or the writer or the production people. Mm-hmm. It's the weirdest thing when you don't go in and see these people. And that is usually when the magic happens. That is usually when you bring in the X factor that they're looking for that role that they're trying to fill. So right. It's quite unusual when you're living in isolation. How about you guys?
Yes.
I'm not looking for work.
That's a great plan. That's even better, because if you don't look for work, you can't fail.
I'm eating my feelings. I just gorged on some Peruvian food. This is the first time I've been out of my pajamas in like 4 days. Life is good.
Hey, you have an agenda and you're sticking to it. I like that.
That's right. That's right. Just going up like a waist size every week. It's awesome. No, just doing the same thing that everyone else is doing. But I like to just sound like I don't care, even though I totally care.
Yeah.
No, you gotta
kind of vacillating between the two.
People are trying to call me right now. It's kind of annoying. So do I keep like blacking out my screen? I keep disappearing. People
every
are
now and then you black out.
Okay,
kind of like my Nana.
That's my life right now.
Kind of like college. Oh wait, sorry.
Hold my hair back, would you, so I could vomit into this toilet?
Yeah.
Exactly, and I will snap your bodysuit.
Yeah.
I'm hating myself. Sorry.
Thanks, girlfriend.
That's specific.
But yeah, I mean, with the pandemic and at this point in a regular year, I'm from Toronto, Canada. I would be home at least 2-3 times by now, visiting parents and friends and other family, and but I can't necessarily do that. I have a 4-year-old son.
Yep.
Who loves to put his hands in his mouth and touch all sorts of dirty things, and I couldn't even imagine bringing him on a plane right now. I think we're going to try to do it mid-September, but I mean, we were saying that in June, July, August, and the border in Canada has like shut down. I mean, I think we can get in. Of course, we have Canadian passports.
Sure.
And I can sneak in 10 Americans if you guys want.
Don't tempt.
It's quite up to you. The work up there is better than a Netflix paid animation actor. You know this, right? Because here we get scale, but in Canada, because there's no residuals, they give you a huge lump sum up front per gig. So, I mean, just saying.
Yeah.
Day trading. Just day trade it all.
Yeah. I mean, especially if, I have no intention of living past 50, so like let's get it all up front.
In today's climate, that 50's like an overshoot. I feel like 35
might be generous. How morbid. Anyway, so speaking of the working and everything like that, I know that you were. Did your Turtles just wrap? Did it complete? Yeah.
That's the new motto. It's used to be 3 and done. Now it's like 2 and a bit, and then they pull the curtain. I don't know. I feel like it was such a great
iteration of the Turtles, though.
I think so too, and I feel like a lot of shows that really scare people up top, like the 2012 Ninja Turtles. I got to be a part of a little bit later in the run of that series. Mm. The people that saw that first image when they're like, here's some brand new CGI Ninja Turtles as a series, fans were genuinely freaked out that the Turtles had 3 toes instead of 2. And they're like, how dare you? But by the end of 5 seasons, they were so in love with this version of Ninja Turtles that they were like, "You're going to cancel the show? How dare you?" So this version of Ninja Turtles kind of came at lightning speed. I think the three of us grew up in a point in time where reboots were kind of like, okay, you did a reboot, and then it came and went, and you let that property breathe for about a year or two. Now, it's like reboots happen, and you know this, working on Looney Tunes, you know, like they just butt up right next to each other.
Sometimes they overlap.
Sometimes you can see 2 different versions.
One gets canceled the next one.
Sometimes you feel like seen the season finale of one show before another's debuted.
It's insane. It's insane. And I feel like, you know, that's just the going rate. And they tried doing that with Ninja Turtles, and people freaked out again. But when they learned that this show was already wrapping, they freaked out. They're like, we love this show, you know, like, how come we can't have more? And, you know, I just feel like it just is what it is. You have to ride the wave as it is. And if the wave dissipates, then you exit and you say thank you, and then look for the audition for the next Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes the fan reaction is, you know, they see that one is coming down the pike, and then there's the critical eye of, well, I don't know if this is the version that I had hoped for. But then they have it, and it's like, well, this is the one I have, and I love it. And then when it's canceled, it's like, there's always that fear, like, is this it? Like, is this the last Star Wars? Is this the very last one? You know.
Oh, like, I mean, come on. I mean, we're shaking our heads. We know, and I mean, at least
we do know. But we always, I think, as fans, always just have that little inner fear. Like, I mean, in a way, it's almost like that thing that Rob Paulson always says, is that he always thinks that the next job is the last one.
Is the last one, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a great way to think. It's a great way to think, just for survival and keeping yourself sharp. But at the same time,
my therapist doesn't agree with me, but yeah.
Your therapist should get into voice acting, so the therapist knows what you're dealing with. It's
sure.
Quite insane. It can be very tiring and very you know, it's like punishment. It's like you're kind of like going in for more. It's like, you know, you're a boxer and you get like a couple punches, and then you get a break, and then you go back in and you get socked around again and you have a break. But you keep
very violent pokey.
Yeah. You keep wanting more, because when you are working, it's the best thing in the world. It is so much fun. I mean, we used to get to be in a room together and work with each other, but you know, have you guys been doing like a lot of Zoom sessions?
That's all we've been doing. I went into a studio once, just to kind of see, you know, it was a video game. I knew it would be quick. And I was like, well, let me just see what the circumstances kind of are. And I'm not going to say that I feared for my life or anything, but at the same time, everybody else was on Zoom. So I'm like, okay, aside from the booth being air conditioned, which is nice.
Yeah.
I really could have just done this from home.
And you don't have to upload the files, which is a pain in the ass.
There's that. But I mean, mine is honestly one of the things that drives me the most nuts is having to sign my paperwork at home.
But
it's so much harder for some reason.
Yeah.
This is Inside Baseball. My apologies, everybody. If you're just joining us, welcome. This is Between Two Nerds. We are NerdsVote with our special guest, Eric Bauza, today. Check out our pinned comment. We're a voting registration organization. And today we're talking about, if you'll notice in the pinned comment, NBC News has this awesome new website called Plan Your Vote. And as you probably have heard, it's super confusing about, like, where do I get my absentee ballot? Where do I cast it? Can I mail it? Should I bring it in? This is a great website that has it all laid out for you, so you don't have to panic, and you can, and it's constantly being updated with new information. So check it out. And if you're not yet registered to vote, visit nerdsvote.com and we will hook you up.
So this is a question coming from me a Canadian working in America.
Yes.
Am I allowed to vote?
I don't think you are.
I'm not.
Unfortunately.
Not if you're still Canadian.
Unfortunately.
You can take your test and become an American citizen and then vote. But if you're on a green card or a work visa and you still hold your Canadian citizenship, then sorry.
Sorry about it.
So all of these years that I've been voting, nothing has counted. I feel like I've been here for at least... No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well,
but
I
do support people like yourselves and I do supporting other people running for office that are of sane mind and body and have good messages that affect the entire nation that I'm working in.
I'm just going to say right now, you're not, I hate to say this, but you're not the first Canadian we've had. And we've talked to some other Canadians, and we really do find great joy in having our Canadian friends talk to Americans and their fellow Canadians, because voting is important everywhere in every country. And there are many countries that have issues around voting. So it's kind of a worldwide exercise in getting down to the nitty-gritty in the voting and treating it as important as it should be. So even though you're Canadian, you can still be a great help, both at home and here in your adopted.
And that goes for anybody out there that's from any country. I'm sure we have more than just Americans and Canadians on the line. So, because we've had Brazilians and Russians and Peruvians and people from the United Arab Emirates and all sorts of people that have been watching. So, yes.
And Australia.
Of course. We always have Australians.
Nanny.
Always.
Nanny Murray.
Always.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So, Eric, when did you move here? Were you, because what's voting age in Canada? Is it 18?
I think it's 18, yeah. I think everything in Canada is just a few years younger than America. Drinking and voting, that's what we love to do up north. Big fans of drunk voting. You know, it's not all rainbows and sunshine up there, too. I know as pleasant as we make it seem to be, you know, we have our problems. We have our people in power that maybe shouldn't be or kind of overstay their welcome. We have people in power that you may not agree with but may get the job done. But what we have in Canada, what I feel is a very great sense of multiculturalism, especially in the city of Toronto, where I'm from. I said it wrong. Toronto is actually how you're supposed to.
I was going to say, I'm like, isn't it Toronto? It's a silent T.
I've been here too long.
Too long, Eric.
I've been here too long. Look, I traded my Raptors hat in for a USA basketball hat. Toronto. But there really is like a diverse culture, and you know, we're very open and accepting to that. And again, you're going to have people that don't agree, and people that, you know, I was born in Toronto, and you'll get, you know, hey, go back to your country. Well, I am here. I was born here, you know, and you will run into those problems. It's not all picture perfect, but it is a little bit different. And, you know, I mean, we could talk about so many things today. And, you know, one of them would be gun violence, you know, like there was just that stream of, you know, this year after George Floyd, and it continued even after that news was out. And I was like talking to my friends in Toronto, and they were just like, what's going on over there? You know, like, are you guys okay? You know, and I was just like, I guess we're not. I guess things have gone to shit over here. And I think it's the trickle down effect, you know. I think it's definitely when someone's in charge that clearly doesn't appear to care, then the people that are who really don't care on the streets go, well, if he's saying not to care, then why should I? You know, and then it just goes down, and that kind of poison and that kind of those negative feelings kind of infiltrate the system, and there you go. It's just a tornado. So
yeah, it very much has been a downward spiral of sorts, where, you know, when we're a nonpartisan organization, so we don't say parties or names. However, when
but you can.
Yeah, but yeah,
I'm Canadian.
Yeah, you can say whatever you like. But when there is a culture of division, which we are living in right now, it's hard to, I mean, at this point, it's hard to get people to just agree on wearing masks or not. So it's, when it comes to more complex issues, yeah, it's tricky. And I think part of why we've been talking about this election so much as so important is not only because of the presidency, but across the board and all the way down to local elections, city councils, mayors, and stuff like that is, getting people, encouraging people to look for candidates, whatever their party or whatever, that encourage thoughtfulness and discussion and conversation and unity and, coming up with the best solution as opposed to the solution that my people are fans of,
And progression, I think, as in general, just moving forward, like advancing society as opposed to throwing it back a billion years and having to, the worst part about all that is starting over when the next regime takes over, if they have different views and a laundry list of things to fix. And by the time they're done fixing these things, it might be another election year. And it's like, well, how are we ever going to advance if we keep hitting the reset button and setting ourselves back, with all of this? And, it's interesting. I've never really, vocalized my political views or just in general, but I think there's just a general discomfort that's happening to everyone in the nation right now. I feel like the United States is wearing this really, itchy sweater, like this turtleneck stuffy sweater, and the heater's on, and everyone's just like, oh God, like it's becoming, I mean, it's clearly becoming, it's pouring out on the streets, like their discomfort and their cries for justice and their cries for a change. Mm-hmm. And I think, things are darkest before they get bright again, I feel. I feel hopefully we're getting to that point. I mean, it seems like every day is a joke in 2020. Like, things just get worse. Like, someone just posted an article
every
about
day is a joke of varying degrees of funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, is this really happening? Yeah. Oh my God, it's really happening. These things are really happening.
I think it's interesting what you bring up, Eric, about it being a reset button every 4 years or every 8 years. And I think something that's interesting to think about is that idea of, like, what if it wasn't like that? What if it wasn't just one party or the other, and you could find some middle ground, you could find some things to, the nation has become so divided, much more than, in history. And that idea of, like, I think to entertain the idea that in order to survive, we can't just keep going back and hitting reset and then going, okay, we're going to undo everything that the other party did and start over. We need to start, from whatever party you're standing in, and there are a few, how can we find things that we can work on together? Exactly. So that we're not wasting time constantly resetting.
I mean, there has to be a way. There has to be, like, even when you put the lists of their political agendas together, there has to be some common ground as the next party or the next position of power that is supposed to be the identification of the United States. Like, they're fighting to be the voice of America. So how come it's so different? Like, if we're all supposed to be living in the same country, like, why? I mean, it's a simple. It could be a simple answer. I don't know, but I mean, it sure seems like it's getting more difficult to answer in these days. And again, it's like, when you're talking to, you want to say, like, a child or something, and it's like, the sky's blue, and then, like, the kid's like, no, it's green. It's green. And then you just, no, it's blue. And then, it's just like, oh my God, like, it's been blue for years. Like, You know, like it's that mentality. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall. You know, it's just nothing's gonna stick. It's just gonna slide down.
Yes. Right.
Well, there's, you know, the concept too is that, like, if you vote locally and you sort of do bottom up, that once you get to the, you know, there can be really polar opposites, obviously, with the presidential campaign. You know, it's usually one of two parties, and just to consider that if you're voting in local elections, you're going to have a lot more variety of people. There's going to be more parties and more of the, like a larger spectrum. So when people get frustrated with the idea, like, oh, I don't like either party or I don't like either person or anything, it's not just about that one election. There's a lot of other elections happening where there are, you know, there's a whole spread of, I use the fan metaphor, you know, there's like all this area here where you can find people that may resonate with you. And so just to kind of, for the people that are watching, to think about that when you're going out to vote, and that there are so many more options and so much more power in voting locally and statewide. So just keep that in mind when it's not just the one.
Yeah.
It's not just the election.
Because as we talked about on the show, is you know, at the top of the game, it's a two-party system. And unfortunately, that is just the way it is. So, you know, we've been asked before, like, is it cool if I vote for a third party? I mean, you can vote for whoever you want. We're not going to tell you. But, like, you know, the way that the structure works right now, a vote for a third party, just it's a vote for it that plays into one side or the other. It doesn't. You're not actually going to get that third person elected unless there is that local grassroots building of these third parties over time, so that in, you know, hopefully maybe by the next presidential election, we will have like a viable third or even four parties that can, you know, can really get in the game and be viable. But it's a long game.
And your vote you know, something that you do every 4 years. Like if you're really passionate about having a third party, you're really passionate about a particular candidate or a point of view, like that work is something that you need to do all year round. It's not something that you just turn on every 4 years, pop a vote in, and then be done with it. So just to really encourage people, if you're passionate about it, to get to work at, like, November 4th. Get out there and be like, hey, what do we need to do to start, you know, because these things, it is a long game. It does take time. And, you know, you have to do more than just vote now. I don't think it was ever that you could just vote, but we sort of labored under that idea. And now it's much more of like a lifestyle and something that it's a practice to be involved and to help steer this country. It doesn't happen just every 4 years.
Yeah.
It seems like something you should be conscious of every day of your life, obviously. And the fact is, yeah, things happen instantly. They happen over time, and you have to keep nurturing, you know, that change that you want and keep pushing it. And because you're definitely not alone. I feel like there's like a lot of things that people want right now, and it's not like out of reach. I feel like these things can happen, and the fact that people are so passionate about it now more than ever, I feel like a good thing is going to happen soon. Change for the right reason, I think, is going to happen soon, and I pray that it does. And I feel like you just got to teach people, man. You just got to teach people to, like, love one another and just, you know, regardless of your political views, when it just comes down to it, you just have to respect each other and love one another. And it's not that hard. I feel like, you know, you put a bunch of kids in a room and it's like they just want to play with each other. You know, it's not like that's how we're born. That's how we're entered into this world. We're not born racist, and we're not born prejudiced against our differences and our political views or our thoughts or by how we look. It's like I think we are supposed to be caring creatures to one another, you know? Like, I don't know. I may just be rambling, but it's sad when you turn on the news and it's depressing, you know, one story after another, and just the turmoil that you see, and it does make me miss Canada a little bit more. But you know, I'm gonna have to get a COVID-19 test and make sure that I'm clear to enter an airplane,
Right.
And make sure that they will accept my my American son at the border, my Burbank baby.
He's so cute. If they
adorable.
don't want him, I will take him.
You guys want to babysit for 7 to 8 weeks?
I'm currently dog sitting for the month of September, but I'll work around it.
He just eats right out of the can. It's just you just open whatever can it is, like beans or preserved peaches.
The 4-year-old. I'm not talking about the.
Oh,
are you talking about the 4-year-old?
He is, but yeah. Of course, that's how you parent. You just open a can and drop it in a dish. Did you know that?
I knew that. I was like, he eats out of the can? Really? At 4? I feel like that's not okay.
I'm a really good dad.
Their food up at 4 years old, aren't they? Aren't you?
Guys, I don't know much about American voting, but what I do know is how to feed a 4-year-old. And that is with a can opener. Because and that's it.
If Canada will not take the 4-year-old, I will take the 4-year-old, and JP can have the dog, and you can just go to Canada for a while.
Yes, this is true. I have a question about your show. Do you guys often do any giveaways or anything like that for the fans?
We do.
Are you going to give me the 4-year-old?
Offering?
Yeah. Speaking of my son, here, come here, home. No, I'm just kidding. He's not here. He's not here. But is there a way to guarantee people to vote this coming fall? Because I have some things that I can give away. I could probably give away. I've been going to the post office almost every day and buying these Bugs Bunny Forever stamps. I have like.
Oh, I need to get some of those.
I have a bunch of them, and I feel like if come November, when it is time to vote, maybe we could do a thing where if you vote and you get the I voted sticker, tag me in your photo, and I will sign and mail you one of these, and we could figure out something. I don't know. It could be that. It could be something.
There it is. So
I could give away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll give away 5 sheets to 5 different people, and it's the Bugs Bunny Forever stamps. They just made them for Bugs' 80th birthday, and and I support the U.S. Postal Office by buying these.
As
They're
well,
like, you again. You're back, aren't you? You want more stamps, do you? And I'm like, yes, have some.
That's awesome, Eric. So, yeah. While we can't specifically incentivize voting, we can tell we can tell people, hey, post something with your I voted sticker. We can totally incentivize that. So yes.
The first 5 people, I guess, maybe to tag you guys, and you guys can, decide who gets it.
We will announce it in. We could do it on I think people are we're still encouraging everybody, especially if you have an absentee ballot or early voting opportunities, to do it as early as humanly possible. However, I'm going to assume that everybody's still going to wear the sticker on November 3rd. So yeah, let's do this November 3rd.
You want to do 5 or do you want to do 10?
I mean,
1,000.
1 million. No,
I'm buying stacks of these. I'm buying stacks of these.
Save the post office, you guys. You heard it here.
If not the entire system, at least the one at Magnolia and Kester.
Yeah, the one nearby. I need to
the only one
where my post office box is. Just that one. Yes, 10 would be great. So for everybody that's watching, mark your calendars. November 3rd, we will be having a Bugs Bunny stamp giveaway. Thank you to Eric Bauza. And we will have reminders and all sorts of stuff to remind you. So make sure no matter when you're voting, if you're doing absentee ballot or you're going to do early voting, hang on to that sticker till November 3rd, because that will get you, or at least just take the picture early. You know what
I mean? It could be an old one.
With the newspaper so that we know it's from this year.
Yes. Or, sorry. Or, I don't know. date it.
That's good. That's good. That's real smart.
There's no way. Who cares?
Well, we have an amazing social media guru, Ivy and the Spooky Kid. She's in the chat. She will help us come up with the rules and regulations. She knows what she's doing. Speaking of Bugs Bunny, Eric, as you may be aware, the convention season has begun. The first of 2 major conventions are happening this week, and then I think the next one is in 2 weeks or so. If one of your Looney Tunes characters, anyone, I'll make it dealer's choice, was to speak at one of the conventions, could you give us just a smidgen, a preview of what they might say?
Of a convention for, did you say like a political convention? A
political convention. Now, it doesn't have to be one of the 2 parties we know. It could be like, the WB party or whatever, but a preview of a convention speech.
Well, Doc, I was going to ask you, you're not that shy either. You have a Mel Blanc character under your belt, Doc. You played Wile E. Coyote.
Well, yes, I did. Thank you very much.
See? That to me is like one of like the hardest voices, because that was one of, I'd say, one of the closest voices to Mel Blanc's natural speaking voice. And whenever I heard you do it, I was just like, he's in the zone, like you're in that, you have the sophistication down of that character. That really made it like good. And I mean, it's not every day you ever get to hear him speak either. So for the times that he did speak, I applaud you, and I was always like very fond of your work on New Looney Tunes.
Yes.
But if Bugs Bunny were at a political convention this week, I think his speech would be, we the people, and by the people I mean rabbits and forest creatures, encourage you to go out and express and exercise your voice in this world and where we live. Might I also say, doing it by mail ain't that bad, Doc. As you can see, I'm very marketable when it comes to the mail. So you should always practice social distancing. I am the king of social distancing. I live in a hole in the ground. And I did that before any pandemic. Wash your hands and your fingers like you was washing 10 carats. And always wear a mask, Doc.
Oh, good.
Oh, and we took Elmer's gun away. I hope that doesn't make anyone angry.
It's for the best. It's for the best. I don't know if anyone
what happened there.
He was not licensed.
What was insane about that, though, is that the show premiered on HBO Max, and it took them 3 weeks to even realize that the gun was gone. I honestly think they were so... Whoever called us on it was probably so tired of covering the riots that they're like, did you hear that Elmer Fudd doesn't have a gun anymore? How dare they?
Yeah, they just needed some
All I have to say is that if you're so concerned about a cartoon character not having a weapon, like if that's on the top of your list, you should really shuffle it down to like,
pick up priorities here.
Yeah, pick up dry cleaning, get birthday cake,
vote.
Vote. And then maybe complain about the gun, or not at all, because I mean, there are actual people dying on the streets, and you're concerned about a cartoon not having
rabbits
a gun.
And ducks. Yeah,
I was just flabbergasted.
I think the first time it ever even crossed my mind that Elmer having a gun was like, oh, I don't know if that's okay anymore. There's a daycare on like above Koreatown, and I was driving down the street, and they had like Looney Tunes painted on like the playground wall at the daycare, and there was an Elmer holding his rifle, and there was a kid playing next to it, and for some reason I was just like, oh, I don't know if I like it anymore. Like, but it never bothered me. I mean, like for some reason I was like, yes, gun, anvil, axe. Kill them all. Like,
even when he had the gun, it would never work. Bugs would always stick a carrot in it, and it would backfire. Someone would tie a knot around Elmer's head with the gun. you know, it was never really part of. It was a prop and really not part of his character. Sometimes he was a fisherman. Sometimes he was just Elmer Fudd, like the owner of a corporation, like he was a millionaire. He wasn't always. I guess the best air fresheners sold were the ones where he was with the hunter getup and all that stuff. But
but I mean, he was a Viking.
Right. Gee, and in love with a rabbit and drag. So I mean, who wouldn't be?
Hero forever.
But yeah, I just thought that was a silly thing, and I think maybe it only boosted our ratings because we were the #1 show for at least like the few months that it's been on. I'm sure that's changed, but you know, we were really surprised at all that people were watching because, you know, everyone has a streaming channel now, so it's really hard to get people, to lure people in. But if there are fans watching, thank you so much.
Speaking of the fans, if you have any questions for Eric, we have just a bit of time. Just put them in the little question mark box down the bottom, and we will ask away. Eric, not to get too Mark Evanier on you, but is there a character that you've done that is like it's one of your very favorites, but it's one that's not like the big marquee characters, like just one that you love?
Well, I mean, I think just anything recently that allows me just to use like my normal voice, I guess, because I'm always so insecure. I'm very insecure about how awful my acting is. And I usually just disguise that with, hey, he sounds like that person that we know. But like something like Master Frown on Unikitty, he was the bad guy.
So good.
And all he did was like, you know, he was the bad guy, and you know, what he loved to do was just like knock over people's milk. That was like the objective of the day, was like, oh, is that your milk? Great, I'm gonna knock it over. And it was just kind of like my voice, but just like more of a bit dickish, as they say. He was rather dickish.
Wrong side of the bed, Eric.
Yeah. So I mean, but again, Unikitty was a pretty, you know, like, I mean, that's a pretty big character. It's hard for me to think because, man, I've just been on this reboot and remake kick. It's been fun, but at the same time, I would love to encourage the networks to create original content and tell brand new stories from people that don't usually get a chance to tell the story. You know, I feel like there's only so many times you can go back to the well and
the very white well.
I'm like, there's no water left. You're just digging up dirt and rocks in these buckets you're pulling up, you know?
Yeah.
And again, you just don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. But at the same time, it's like, I think people are, it was very strange. I felt like there was a point in time where I felt like the age of reboots was almost over. And then it just, no, we're going to keep rebooting. We're going to reboot everything.
Just kidding. We're still doing this. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm the same. Every major character I have played has been played by somebody previously to me. Most of them are dead.
Rest in peace, Alec Baldwin. He was a good guy.
He's the exception. He's the big exception. But yeah, I mean, you know, Willy Wonka, the Tin Man, Wile E. Coyote, like, yeah, all
that is such a good poster
done by white dead guys.
I mean, think about your. I'm gonna make you one of those character collages where all your characters are together, and think about like how awesome that is. Like,
please do. I need a new banner.
I make them. I make them for all voice actors. So literally, if it's something that you want me to do, we will
talk offline.
I got Photoshop.
So if the voiceover thing, the voice acting thing doesn't work out, Eric, you have a second trade that you can play.
Well, actually, it was your first trade because you started in animation, didn't you?
Yeah.
But you can actually do the, like, not typesetting, but whatever. Just do the little, you can go into, you know, headshots for animation actors if the voice acting thing doesn't work out. If it all bottoms out.
when the pandemic finally goes away and you guys need new character headshots and stuff, hit me up.
You'll definitely. That's what I'll be coming to you for, Eric. Is that?
Yeah, there it is.
It won't be any kind of voices. It won't be, how to get into voice acting. Nothing like that. It's going to be just your character setting things, so I can go to the print shop.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. I could yours. If we did yours, Courtney, it would be like at least 11 by 17 with all the video game characters you've been knocking out of the park.
I still think of. I still remember that the old thing that they used to have in Disney World, where you dress up like as Eddie from Who Framed Roger Rabbit with the fedora and the coat, and then they would take your picture in a alley scene, and then Jessica Rabbit would be superimposed on it.
Right.
I think a picture of Courtney with like one of her bounty hunter killer girls, like if they were just back to back, like with guns, just like
If I ever get a tattoo, it's just going to be all of her bounty hunter characters on my back.
Yeah. I'm branching out. I'm going for Disney Princess now. So come on.
Disney Princess it is. Eric, a lot of the people in the comments are mentioning I Know That Voice. For those of us who don't know what that movie is, I do, of course. Could you tell us a little bit about what that movie was? You were in it, yes? Yep,
it was a voiceover documentary produced and basically narrated and hosted by John DiMaggio. You may know him as the voice of Bender on Futurama, as well as many other characters on Netflix's Disenchantment and, Jake the Dog on Adventure Time. And, I would often call him the mayor of Comic-Con. He was always, just no matter where he was, there was just like this, it was like a cartoon fight cloud of fans following him everywhere at Comic-Con. And he made this great documentary that really showcased and featured, a lot of the old-timer heavy hitters, living legends, I like to call them. And I was lucky enough at the time. That was actually right when I started doing Marvin the Martian. That was almost 10 years ago, maybe, I'd have to say. And there was a really big, you could probably look up Chris Rock's, his Oscar presentation. Like he was giving the Oscar away for best animated film and best animated short film. And he really went into it about how easy it was for him to step into a booth and get paid $1 million.
I distinctly remember that.
It really ruffled a lot of it ruffled a lot of feathers, and I did an impression of him. And he's one of those guys where his voice is unlike anything. I could see why he would say that, because he started at just like us, right? Just a person that wanted to perform and make people laugh and entertain people, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, geez, that doing stand-up comedy, I've tried it. It is not easy. It is not an easy thing.
Not my favorite.
So for him to kind of he spent his whole life crafting his art form, like his style, and perfecting his voice. And I'm not even saying like the sound of his voice, but his voice, like his how delivery. He views the world. Like that's very important to a stand-up comic, and that's half of, if not 99% of the reason why he probably gets booked all the time. Because I just go into the booth and sound like me, and it's like, well, easy for you to say, you're Chris Rock. They're not even asking him to change his voice, but him, Seth Rogen, Eddie Murphy, Mike Myers, these are all exceptions of people that I feel that have such character in their voice that it's not like a normal person. It's like he is like a character, Yep. But I did an impression of Chris Rock because in part of his speech, it's funny because he's like, in animation, you could be, if you're a short guy, you could be a hero. Like he was saying, in animation, you could be anything if you're not what it is, you know,
Yep.
like, and including being a Filipino Canadian portraying Chris Rock in a documentary. So that was the whole joke. But I remember just doing that and having a lot of fun in the booth and just being honored to be a part of this community that we're in. I feel like it's very rare that, you know, we're not greedy people. I feel like if I know I'm not right for a role, I could think of 3 or 4 other people, men and women. I'm like, you should try this person. You know, like, I'm not good for it, but you know who could book it? Courtenay. You know, could book it. JP could book it. You know, like,
I would love to know the role that somebody was like, Eric, we'd like to offer this to you, offer only, and you're like, not for me, but Courtenay Taylor.
Yeah. Yes.
You don't want to see me in a motion capture
suit. To go to Courtenay Taylor.
Yeah. The voice of Puss in Boots, Courtenay Taylor.
Eric, I want to go to a fan question here. From I Might Be Tony. He might be. They might be. What can we do to help networks create space for content from voices that are underrepresented? I don't know if you can see the whole question there, but
what can we do? I mean, I think that it's slowly happening right now. I feel like I'm seeing a lot of more, you know, just more diverse ideas coming through the pipeline. But I really do feel like, you know, it just after the Black Lives Matter resurgence, because I feel like we had it before, and then it kind of went away, and then we needed it again, and it's unfortunate. I feel like it just should be the fact that we even have to say it is crazy. It's like, yes, we should know this by now, you know, like we should. Why do we have to keep reminding ourselves about this stuff? But apparently we do. And if that's what it's going to take, then we should really drive it home this time and really open it up and not just with lives, but with culture and what we see on TV and what we read in books and you know, what we make available to people you know, who can't afford to go to school. Maybe start doing programs like if you want to do voiceover and if you're in a community that is underdeveloped and you might not be able to have the funds to do these classes. Like I would totally do something where I would open it up to like, you know, 20 people in a class or people that want to learn how to do storyboarding. I know my friend Matt Danner, who does Baby Kermit on Disney Junior's Muppet Babies, he's doing another program with some animation studios that are specifically encouraging and inviting people of the African American community. If you're interested in arts, please come out and enjoy. Like this is all for free and just anything to help people in not just Black, you know, Asian, of the gay community, anyone that feels like they're barred from just being themselves. I feel like we need to help and really speak up and encourage them to speak for themselves if they feel powerless, because that is the worst feeling in the world when you feel like you have no voice. And I definitely would love to encourage that, not just with the networks, but just, you know, just every day. I mean, and it's so frightening to think that when you want to try to help, some people are kind of back off, or they might be standoffish because I can't believe we've you know, hit them with this so hard that an act of kindness might be out of the ordinary. They might not even know how to accept it. But I feel like we got to get back to that place in society. We got to get back to a place where a kind gesture is just a kind gesture, and just wanting to help people is common. Like, it shouldn't be a gesture, a kind out of the ordinary gesture. It should just be.
Yeah, just the way we do business.
The interesting thing that people don't seem to realize as well is that fans have a huge voice if they choose to use it. You know, fans keep shows on the air. You know, you watch, you don't watch, you want something. You know, I always say we have this, you know, direct line through social media to the people who create content. And if you're signal boosting that stuff, if you are, I always use the example of, you know, BioWare changed the ending to Mass Effect 3 because of what the fans had to say about it. And more so than having it be a knee-jerk reaction to something that you don't like, I think it's so much more powerful to use your voice and support what you do like. So if you're seeing actors, content creators, writers who are speaking, who are telling the kind of stories that represent you and your background and your, you know, who you are as a person, then support those things vocally. You know, we had Rebecca Sugar on and Ian Jones-Cordy, and they talked so much about how, you know, people loving the stories that were being told on Steven Universe created much more of those stories, along with obviously, like, you know, passing laws that allowed gay marriage and things like that, gave them more material. But to support those shows that have leads on that you see yourself in, those things are incredibly important, and you just can't, as a consumer, ever think that you don't have a voice in this, because you do, with your wallet, with your social media, with your letter writing, and with your, you know, your viewing powers.
Yeah, and it carries. Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. It's like, why else would we be making this stuff? Like, for no one. We're making it for fans and viewers alike, and
mm-hmm. And it's very
massive.
analogous to what we talk about so much on the show, which is you have to show up to steer your country, because there is no, if you don't show up, people make choices for you. If you don't make a choice, right? So if you don't tune in and you don't watch things, they get canceled. If you don't show up and you don't vote, laws get made without you. People get elected without you. You have to get on board in everything. And there's been no better time in the history of our society than now, because we have so many different ways that we can communicate with each other. So you have so many different opportunities to do the thing that's easiest for you: text, social media, emails, paper letters, you know, buying merchandise, you know, reaching out to people in whatever way makes you feel comfortable, because you can help steer everything.
Yeah. And donating to amazing causes, and you know, like I'm getting rid of like toys and baby clothes that my son don't use anymore. I'm just thinking of even that for underprivileged children out there. It all starts there, I think. You know, when you're young, you're teaching the youth, because when we're gone, they're the ones that are going to be, you know, my son's going to be, you know, part of this world. He's already part of the world, but, you know, I want him to be safe, and I want him to live in a planet where he doesn't have to worry about being himself, you know? Like, I can't believe, like, that is something that we still have to worry about or think about. It's like, can we please move on from this and just, you know, concentrate on things like pandemics and keeping people safe from things that need science and are out of, you know, you can't just go to Target and get a cough syrup for this one.
For sure.
Like, you know, that's all I could think of is, like, in a point in our lives when the entire planet, not just the United States, is facing a pandemic, why does the ugly face of racism have to come back? And why does, you know, the people in charge, why do the people in charge not steer the ship away from the iceberg? You know, it's kind of insane. And I truly do hope that when the pandemic leaves, it takes racism and closed-mindedness with it.
Here is hoping. Eric, we are at a minute and counting. So really quickly, we usually have our voiceover guests sign off as a given character, telling people to get out and vote. I would say Bugs, but we've already heard from Bugs, and the Muppets editor requested Fozzie. Can you sign off as Fozzie?
Well, I'm not gonna bore you with you know. I got to do one joke, okay? This is for all the kids out there. Why did the chicken cross the playground? To get to the other slide?
I want you guys to get out there and vote. Practice and exercise the right that you have as people of this nation. And don't forget to wash your hands.
And social distance. How come there's no Daffy Duck stamp? Okay? Also, this is the worst voice to use in a pandemic. You don't want to be 6. You want to be at least 12 feet away from my beak.